You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over.
This is not my home. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. Why aren't you laughing?
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Welcome to the Batman Book Club, a podcast exploring the Dark Knight Library. I am your host, Ryan Lauer. The Batman Book Club is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. Just go to batmanonfilm.com, click on podcasts link, and you'll find the Batman Podcast Network, where there's a whole list of other Bat-related shows that also love to dive into other nerdy subjects we all love to frolic about in our free time. And the Batman Book Club is also on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show, just go to patreon.com/thebatmanbc. It helps keep the generator running in the Wayne Manor study. Now, thank you for tuning into episode number 91, Batman in January, another monthly chapter of all these Bat books that come out each month. And joining me, as you all are familiar with now, he's the housewife in New Jersey. It's Mr. Peter R. Verra. Peter, thank you for coming back to the show.
Oh, Cousine, how you doing? It's Petey Pizza Reviews. What's going on over here?
Yeah, I think, and maybe the best work you've done for the internet yet. You've reviewed the latest and greatest Bat Zoni.
Calzone.
Little Caesars? Calzone?
Yeah. My car still smells like Little Caesars. I was like, I can't get this thing out of my car. It still stinks.
Yeah, it sticks around. But yeah, you can go to Batman on Film, where Pete's got a video review of the latest pizza sweeping the nation.
I'm going to have to go to White Castle to get the smell out of my car.
Wow. I mean, that's saying a lot.
I love White Castle. Don't you dare disrespect it.
Hey, I
crave the case, bro.
I'm not disrespecting. But yeah, you tried it. You did a video review of it. More importantly, did you get the posters that you're supposed to get?
I got 4 of them, and I got an extra pizza box. I asked for a clean pizza box that I could save as a collectible.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Because everyone's been getting them, and everyone opens the box, and the box is like see-through because of all the grease. So I'm like, I can't save this. And I took a shot, and they just like, yeah, sure, whatever. They were like, why does this go on an empty box?
Man, this guy's weird. My Mira, because I got one too, and my Mira even said, well, the top part of the box, which has all the good, cool design and everything on it, and she's like, that isn't touched by the grease. We could probably just tear that part off and save it. And I'm like, no.
Gotta get the extra box.
That's got Little Caesars stank on it. So, but I didn't get any posters. They didn't have them yet.
But there is a workaround to that. You can just go in there and buy like soda and walk out with a poster.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make some
purchase.
I'm gonna make some phone calls, and I'm gonna ask them. I want my phone call. So, which posters did you get then?
I got the standard Batman poster that they've been giving out. There was only one, so I was able to.
You got 4 of those.
I got 4 of them. They did not. There was a whole stack. I don't think anybody realized what was really going on except for me. So nice. I was able to snag 4 of them, which is nice.
Well, if you don't know what to do with one of them, come Texas time. Why don't you if you're well behaved, make the trip. Yeah. If I'm on my best behavior.
If you're hovering around maybe like 999 followers and you're upset because you can't crack the 1K, I might just bring one down to make you happy.
Okay. Well, I'd really appreciate that, Pete. Now, we're coming up. Well, this is the end of January. This is nothing new. I think everybody's always waiting for this moment each month now.
Well, this month was better than last.
We're going to be talking about some Batman comics in January. So let's get rolling.
It's a light month, though.
It is a light month.
It's a light month.
Ever since we peaked in November with the 30-book November,
it wasn't December that was the crazy month. It was November.
No, it was November because last month I remember even saying to you, it's a little bit lighter, and then this just felt like half of last month's, which was
Which is
less than the month
great.
before. So I really want to kick it off though, because I mean, half the books were your book, Detective Comics.
That is
This kicks off the Shadows of the Bat
mhm.
event, you could say, from Mariko Tamaki and Ivan Reis or Reyes.
I go with Reese, Ivan Reese.
Okay, Ivan Reis. I don't remember if he's done every issue, but for the next 12
So far.
weeks, every week is going to be a Detective Comics issue for a grand 12-part massive story in Detective Comics. So this month, we're going to talk about all 4 of them in one. Detective Comics 1047 to 1050. So Pete, this is a big chunk, so why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so I've been a big fan of this run so far, and this is
Mhm.
actually the first time I'm kind of disappointed in it. 1047 through 1049 were kind of dull. Huntress is we're learning. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot to. It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
So like it's 12 weeks. It's once a week. So it's a big story. It's I like to, it's an event as we called it. But so I'm kind of I kind of was like, all right, like I get what she's doing. She's explaining a lot. She's taking us. We're driving all the way on the right hand side of the road. We're on the right lane. We're not driving in the passing lane, speeding past everybody. But so Huntress is kind of in the tower. We're learning about the tower is basically the new Arkham Asylum, and we're learning that what's going on in there, and it really doesn't really pick up until 1050. And that's where we get like lots nodes to No Man's Land, and I basically called the book a character study of Huntress, and it was basically focused around her. And we find out what she's doing and how she wasn't kidnapped. She went in there on the inside. She's been dealing with difficulties. She's met with her mental health since what's his name? What is that crazy guy's name? Hugh Vile infected her with the parasite, and she kind of went a little nuts there. Remember that was the previous arc. So Nightwing is kind of in a very Batman way. He kind of convinced Huntress to take on this job so that they can get inside the tower, see what's going on in the tower with Dr. Ware, see if he's on the up and up. And, Huntress is now kind of sedated. She doesn't know where she is. She's loose. And there's this like crazy woman. I don't really, there's only bits and pieces of her in the story, but she's a very violent individual. She seems to be probably the main villain. I almost feel like Ware is almost a red herring in an aspect. Red herring.
Sure.
I said herring. And that's interesting to me. So I think it's really picking up. It really picked up in 1050, and it was just more of what I expect of Tamaki. Just a lot of like great dialogue, a lot of just breadcrumbs that we were following and putting together. And she really went into with that legacy nostalgia route that we've been seeing in movies lately, combining with No Man's Land and combining with her own story with Hugh Vile and everything. And 1050, I think, is one of the best Huntress stories I've ever read. So I'm digging it. I think Reese's artwork has been absolutely phenomenal. In some issues, I feel like he's been underutilized because his action's so good. His panels are very interesting. But the first 3 issues, you're just kind of like, they're slow, so there's not a whole lot of action. There's a lot of talking, and it's a lot of like, okay, we're setting this up. I'm showing you the ins and the outs, the nooks and the crannies. And I just think a little more action within those books would have up to my review grades, and just I don't want to. They're it's a little boring. I've been talking with I read Batman comics on Twitter a lot, and he's really into this, and we haven't really seen eye to eye except for the last issue. So, but I'm digging it. I think I'm digging it now. I think it's going to pick up pace, and we'll see where it goes. But I think 1050 is a really phenomenal issue, and it's interesting that we get to an issue like 1050, which the book says like anniversary oversized blah blah blah, but like they didn't promote it at all.
Yeah.
So usually when they have like something around that mark, it would get some notoriety, but this hasn't. So which is interesting. What about you?
So I'm actually almost a little opposite with you. I read 1047 the week that it came out. Then the next week I read 1048, but I didn't remember anything that happened from 1047. So I
That's
think
a
I'd
good sign.
even mentioned to you of I think I'm gonna wait till right before we record, and then I'm just gonna read all 4 like in a sitting or
Mhm.
2, and that way really read better for me. I thought the first 3 chapters were actually pretty decent,
Mhm.
and then I was kind of let down by 1050. I thought 1050 felt a little, eh, and
Really?
partially because like what you said, it's almost like they were building this up as 1050 is a little bit of like monumental, but then like you said too, they also weren't really pushing it, and so for it to be monumental, like I was kind of feeling like they were, subtly hinting to us that it is, it didn't live up to that hype for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I also am kind of curious what's it's almost like I don't know what the story is going to be, because the first chapter, I mean, we're time jumping about the tower. The tower is not all that it seems.
Mhm.
So they're showing us their hand already, that it's all going to go to shit, and this Anna character is going crazy. And I really
Yeah.
liked that in that first chapter of when we
Mhm.
had day 24, I think it said, and, the red emergency lights are off and there's, she's basically on the prowl and people are dying and stuff like that. I thought that felt very cool, horror asylum-y ish,
Yeah.
but I just don't know where the story's going. And they showed their hand also in the sense of, oh, they weren't waiting on the reveal. They're not going to tease us with Dr. Ware. It's like, oh, he's really in this to get some kind of massive check from Mayor Nakano. Okay. So we know we can't trust him. And now we're a third of the way into this event, and I don't know where it's going, which is like good, but also has me
Mhm.
questioning a little bit of like, what is the point? Where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Uh, it felt like just to use a name, Dr. Meridian, that we're going to have something cool in store for her. And so far, she's just kind of another character popping in and out. Um, I mean, for us also, though, it's just kind of fun to have a character, an original character from the 90s pop up in
Yeah.
a comic,
Yeah, definitely.
that just kind of makes me happy just using that character. But I don't think that it's bad.
No, it's
Uh,
not bad.
I'm
I expect for me, I just expect more out of Tamaki. I thought,
Yeah, she's pretty much been flawless this
yeah.
entire time that she's been on the book, and this is the first time I'm kind of, and that's where I am with you in the sense of I'm not blown away, at least not yet. But also, there's 2 more months of this each week, and I feel that for me to get the most out of it, I am gonna have to wait and then read all 4 issues together.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, and I'm glad that this isn't a big story that they're doing in 12 months, and instead they are doing it weekly, because otherwise I would feel like you'd said, and how this was kind of a bore. If I
Yeah.
couldn't do 4 chapters in a month, I would get restless with this.
What's really kept me invested in this has been what is going on with Huntress, because
Yeah.
early on you don't know, and I'm just like, okay, Huntress is like one of my favorite characters in the Bat family, so like I'm into this. Like having her full front and center in this run of Detective is really huge for me. Ever since Tamaki's been teasing Huntress since she jumped on board.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what's going on with Huntress and the dialogue within the Bat family. So like Grayson and Batwoman have had some really fantastic moments together. Just the whole like the rescue mission type stuff. Like like what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but like I appreciate the communication within the team, and and Batgirl as well. And then yeah, Grayson talking to Huntress in 1050 is, or Helena actually, it's that stuff's really good. I think the dialogue within the characters are really good. I'm like you. I'm like, well, what's really going on? Because like like because you sent her in here and now you got to fish her back out.
Yeah.
You don't have your information yet, so it's just, it's wait and see at this point. Like I feel like as a whole, this will be really good. Once I get all 12 issues together, I'll probably sit down and read it through, and I'll probably get a better grasp at it, even though I am reading it weekly. But I think it's a one sitting type thing. I think it'll fit better.
Yeah. How did you feel about the backup story?
I like Rosenberg's backup story. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's similar because it involves like a little kid. There's a lot of similarities. It's kind of centered around that little redhead kid, and
Mm-hmm.
he's going through some crazy stuff, and then he meets up with Clayface, and then eventually he meets up with Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow thinks he's special, and it's like, I was like, is this kid like a Trojan horse? Like, what is going on here?
Do you think
And then
he's the one that attacked Nakano? that
I don't
Ware
know.
said in 1047 he brought the guy up on the stage and said his name and was like he's basically cured or something. I'm only saying that because he's got
Possibly.
red hair,
Well,
and
I
they haven't
first thought
mentioned
it
his
was
name yet.
what's her name's crazy kid. You know, I thought because like they teased him that kid early on too, right?
Whose?
The crazy woman doesn't she have like
Anna?
a kid? Yeah, I thought she had like a kid or something. They were teasing it. Wouldn't she have? Didn't we have like that point of view?
Maybe.
Or am I just getting them confused? Is that not her kid?
I don't remember. I remember the kid, the backup story had said that they took his mom and they took her because of whatever, but I didn't make the connection that she
I assumed that was her mother. Maybe that's what it was. I assumed that was her.
Well, maybe. I'll go back and I'll have to look. I'm with you though. I like Rosenberg's backup story. That guy's kind of on a hot streak right now in DC.
He is.
He's doing pretty good stuff, and Fernando Blanco has some really cool art with this. I know the kid is the focal point of the story, but I mean, I'm actually like really digging it, and especially the chapter in 1050.
Where they're crashing through Wayne Manor and stuff.
A fight at Wayne Manor. And I love Scarecrow's outfit. That feels like traditional Scarecrow to me. It feels like
I loved Robin in that story. I thought Robin was great.
Yeah, comes walking out from the cave and and Alfred's putting up a fight. And the Scarecrow outfit, that to me is just because, did it a couple issues ago with Andy DiGenova, the Scarecrow that we see in Norm Brayfogel's Scarecrow. From the 456 and Batman 456 and 457. Like I love that design of Scarecrow, and that to me is just perfect. So that's really cool that's the one that they use.
You're not a fan of Jorge and his Scarecrow?
No, I think he overdid it.
It's a little over the top.
Looking back on it too, I wanted to go along with it, and because there was quite a bit, as is usual, quite a response when that first came out. And online, I was like, I'll wait for the story. Oh, a big event story on Scarecrow, and we already went through that. we've already talked about that enough. So I'm in the wait and see mode for Detective. It's obviously a book that we both read every issue. You write reviews for it, and oh boy, are you writing reviews this year on Batman on Film?
I have the lead right now.
yeah, you got a nice comfortable. We were neck and neck, and then you took the lead. I'll tell you what I'm really excited about with 1050 was that first look of the world's finest book.
Yeah,
your boy Dan Mora.
He's phenomenal. His Robin is actually really beautiful.
His Robin looks awesome. His Batman with the yellow oval, the 89 yellow oval, that looks great. That kicks off in March, and I think that's when they just ended a Batman Superman title last year that we never talked about on here, but we're gonna talk about this.
There was only a few issues. There was only a couple issues that I actually read, and I think they all involved imps. So Batmite and Mixpolitic were heavily involved in the few issues that I read of that run. But I'm not one, me. I'm a solo hero type guy, and I'll check out that book for Mora's artwork alone, and I'll see where it leads. I'll give it a shot. Yep,
same here. So Detective Comics 1047 to 1050. Woo! I'd be curious to see how many people are if they take a break with something like this, or if they're just as committed as usual. Of I'm going to get every issue. Damn it, I'm not missing a chapter in this story.
Well, I think it's easier for something like Shadows of the Bat because it's just contained within Detective Comics. You're not buying.
Yeah.
If that's your book, that's all you got to do. You're just buying your books regularly. You don't have to buy. Well, then you have you got to go from Detective to Batman to Nightwing to Robin to Batman and Robin to Robin. Like it's not interweaved. It's just it's self-contained within that one title. So I think everyone who reads Detective is just reading it.
Yeah, which I was wrong. I remember last month talking with you about it, and I said I think it's a multi-title crossover event, which of course to me is very like, I did that too many times, and to find out this is Detective only.
You're not going to catch me buying a Green Arrow book.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. That same Tuesday that Detective 1047 came out was also Batman 119. If you listen to our last wrap up episode, I was all about Batman 118. I loved that issue. That was my Bat book of the month. I don't think that this issue was to that hype, but I still think it was pretty good and pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anytime you can kind of mix up Lex and Batman in a good way, it's very interesting. And I thought this was done. It's unique because Bruce doesn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
So like, when Lex is pouring out that like $4 million bottle of wine on the floor, you could just see the angst and anger in Bruce's face. And I don't know, we've seen like certain teases and stuff. We know at some point Lex puts on some kind of bat suit. We'll see where it goes, but this is kind of interesting. As well as this villain. What is this villain's name again?
The Abyss.
Yeah, I'm digging this Abyss guy. Just because and he really catches Batman off guard here.
Mm-hmm.
It almost very Rises like Batman thinks he's safe in the night, but Abyss is the it reminds me of that. And then the lights come back on and Batman's bloodied up in a corner. So
it's got like a two-headed scythe that he uses, and just in black, and it's got like a little bit of like the Purge mask going on, and
it looks like he's like somebody out of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I hear
and, you. And Mr. Molina did a fantastic job in the artwork. I mean, his oval looks great. His Batman in the darkness with Abyss coming out, kind of jumping over him, is really good. Like, I wasn't really familiar with Molina's artwork, but I mean, this guy is phenomenal. I'm loving everything, and the technology and how he just this dead corpse here looks hideous and ugly, but amazing at the same time. And
so I don't know who did the Lex. But then you get, I'm showing Pete now, kind of like the spread of him. It's funny because last issue I thought he was drawn and he looked like Grant Morrison, and then this issue I thought he looked like Mark Strong. So I don't know who's like that image. Definitely, I just get a
Molina's
Mark Strong sort of look. So
yeah, no, I actually see both.
It's split with Adriano Di Benedetto and
so he didn't draw the whole
Michael
book.
Janin. Sorry,
So what did Molina do?
I don't know. All three of them worked on it somehow, but I mean, it's fun. It continued.
So I take back the credit if I credited the wrong artist. I apologize if you're listening.
I mean, this was a good blend though of three artists. It wasn't very jarring to me.
They did this.
Yeah, and there you go. Pete had no idea that there were multiple artists on this, so I think that speaks volumes too. That there was a good blend. If you look closer, I think you can tell, but I mean, it didn't distract me. It didn't detract from reading the book.
They have the page numbers of who did what.
Yeah, and they didn't this time. So I don't know.
I gotta reach out to Jimmy.
I don't know who did the Abyss fight, but yeah, that's the highlight to me. That's just a great artwork. And so, yeah, I'm still all in on this. I really like this story. And I really I think Francesco Mattina does amazing covers these days. And I think he's going to do all four of like this arcs.
Are those the card stocks?
Yeah. I think he's going to do all four of those. I picked up the 118 from last month. I picked up the 119 this month. And so I think he's got two more. And then as we experience this month on the back of issues is that awesome, the Batman red poster, which is fantastic.
I'm going to say this. There's been a lot of Alfred in a lot of these books, and it's a pleasure to see because I know he's dead. I think he's still dead, right? Like Alfred, like they didn't do anything crazy. Alfred's still dead. Yeah. So it's just nice to see Alfred pop up in a Batman book, even though for some reason DC thought it was a good idea to kill him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I almost forget he's dead.
Me too. And I opened up the book; it just felt so normal. I wasn't like, "Oh my god, it's Alfred," because it's a flashback. But yeah,
I mean, even in something like Batman the Knight, Alfred plays a part in that as well. And you're like, "Oh yeah, he's not dead."
Hey, remember when Alfred was in these books? Those are good times.
It's like, when's the next reboot so we can get Alfred back?
Can we reset all this, please? So that was Batman for the first Tuesday of the month, Pete. We're going to move right along now because we did all of those detectives. So the next week, January 11th, had Robin and Batman number 3. Now, Pete, no clue that book 3 was going to be a hot item.
This is one of the greatest Robin books I've ever read.
It's fantastic, but it angers me.
Brilliant.
I had to read it online. This is one that I stick to physical for this one, Pete, all for you. And my comic shops in my area did not have it. So it really bugs me that I have 2 physical and now I don't have the third one. And I don't know how I'm going to get that without spending a lot of money. And I don't want to drop some bucks and have it shipped. But yeah, as far as the book itself, go ahead.
I mean, it's just a fun Robin Croc story. Again, great Alfred moments, great moments with Bruce and Dick, just vintage Batman moments, like Robin, he's hanging out with the Teen Titans, but he's still like a spy, he's figuring them out, and he's getting into fights at school, and he's getting into fights at school to protect himself and everything, and he's not listening to Batman, but he still saves the day. It's everything that I love about Dick Grayson. He may be small, he may not be as talented as Batman, but he still is as resourceful, and it's just wonderful to see him in action. And just I love Dustin N's artwork. I can't pronounce your last name, so I'm sorry, but Dustin Wen, like it's so unique in itself, and it's just beautiful. Like it's like this. I don't know, like would you call this like watercolor? I'm not even sure. It's just beautiful, and it just fits. Like everything that Dustin draws is phenomenal. So, and he's just these cool moments. You just see like how Dick is at school, and he's like, oh, I got to be careful. I can't let myself slip. And Croc knows who he is, and Croc recognizes who he is, and that's a cool aspect. I was like, oh man, that's something I never really. I don't think we've ever seen before, and Croc is always one of my favorites. So wherever he pops up is an enjoyable experience for me, and the whole fight between Robin and Croc is great. I just, I love watching Robin save Batman, and then Batman just tells him he's a good boy. It's just like, and I'm such a big a-hole Batman fan that like, it's nice to see these moments of Batman and Robin just kind of connecting as father and son. It kind of warms my heart.
It's something that we didn't know we wanted in the sense of this specific time period. So a lot of us will reference of Dark Victory and how that's a Robin origin story, etc. It's like, yeah, but the very last page is him taking the oath. We don't have that gap of the beginning of Batman and Robin. And so I think when this book was announced, it was pretty exciting for that case of, oh, this is going to be right when Robin is learning and is suiting up and going out with him and stuff. And so they crammed some really, it's kind of like it's an easy read in the sense of it doesn't take a ton of time, but to me, I like that because it just moves. And yeah, like you said, I really like the inclusion of Killer Croc. Like we're not going to do an A-lister. I mean, I think Killer Croc is like B+ lister because the A is Joker, Riddler, Two-Face, Penguin. And yeah,
Catwoman.
And Catwoman. And then on that tier.
That's kind of why I like Dixon's Robin Year One, because it's very Mad Hatter centric. It's not. It's different. It gives it a different vibe, and I like what you said, because for me, as a Grayson Robin fan, for me to get a lot of Grayson Robin content, I got to go back to Pixie Boots and Green Underwear.
Yep.
Whereas this is a little bit more modern, and I enjoy this, and I would love more of the Grayson Wayne dynamic duo myself. So this is like a must-have for me. Like this is like, I will collect this story in various forms. Like this is going to be like Killing Joke for me. I'll buy the anniversary editions. I'll buy the absolute edition if it gets made. I'll buy. It's that type of story. Like it gets me. There's the No Man's, and there's not that many. Like No Man's Land, Killing Joke, Three Jokers, and now Robin and Batman. Dark Victory. Those are like my main. These are like stories that mean something to me because of who they involve.
Yeah, and I really love the payoff that it has for Batman, because I've seen some chatter of the a-hole Batman aspect up to this point, especially in issue number 2, where it was they played us a little bit of what was going on that wasn't really what was going on. And Batman was kind of the instigator behind it, and he was all in on it. And Alfred for sure didn't appreciate it. And like you said, that good boy, you're a good boy at the end, and the hug, like, what a payoff. It's a great
Yeah.
payoff. And then it made me think Dark Knight Returns and substituting boy instead of soldier,
Mhm.
which I also thought was cool. Maybe I'm projecting here, I don't know, but that's just what it made me think of right away. So yeah, I think
Comic
this
fans
is
project more than anybody.
for I
And
loved
the
it.
last page too, I can be the light, I can be Robin, like he doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't want to be he's learning not to be Bruce Wayne. And
Mhm.
that's what Dick Grayson is, and that's kind of what his journey is through these three books with Lemire. Like it's the journey of Dick Grayson climbing out of that hole himself, so to speak, and
Yeah.
seeing the light and seeing he can be the hero in a different way. And and the book ends with him joining the Titans, right? Like
Mhm.
even though he went in there, I think it was issue 2, as like I said earlier, the spy. Let me
Yeah.
figure out how I can stop them. To the point of I can utilize this team, and he's going to go things. It's different than what Tamaki's doing. Like Tamaki wrote Dick Grayson more like Bruce Wayne, whereas here Lemire writes him as the opposite of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point. As much as I like that ending where it ends, I also bums me out a little bit because I feel like, oh, there's probably no sequel then. Like he's just hopping off with the Titans. I hope we get a sequel because this was damn good. And I've got no problems with Tim Drake. I love Tim Drake. Great Robin.
Yeah,
Dick Grayson's my favorite. It's just he's my
yeah.
favorite. And by the time
Grayson's my Robin.
I was reading comics, he was Nightwing already, and I had to go back to older written, like you said, the pixie boots and
Yeah.
stuff, and I would like a modernized retelling of Batman and Robin is Dick Grayson because he is my favorite. So
It's something that I've been craving for a long time now, and don't get me wrong, like I love Nightwing.
Yeah.
I love having Dick Grayson as Nightwing, but I think it's something just I guess like for lack of a term, period piece. I guess
Yeah.
when he's younger, I don't think there's any harm in doing that. And
Not at all.
I think this book does a wonderful job of that.
And as book 3 is showing, apparently it's selling well. So when stuff makes money, of course they're like, well, you got any more? So
Yeah,
bring it on.
I like the format they did. I appreciate that. It's
Me too.
like I don't know what they call this. I call this like mini
That's
trade.
a prestige.
Prestige.
That one's just the regular prestige format. The I forget, Prestige Plus, I think, is the magazine style ones. This one's just prestige. But I like how, it did it just like Imposter did, of 48 pages, 3 months in a row. It's a 3-part story, boom. And it just feels like, and it just moved too, which I really loved. So yeah, great story all around. I hope we get more, and I hope that I track down a copy number 3. So if you see it at your comic shop, Pete,
well, why don't you just email him?
Hey, give it to my guy, Peter. Hey. All right. Well, let's move on now to, really quick, the Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 10.
Mm-hmm. This is all you. Go for it.
It was good.
Should I buy this? Who's in it? What's going on?
Well, this issue, Shaggy Man meets Shaggy Man.
Oh, God.
That's the cover. How great is that? Yeah, there you go. Shaggy Man meets Shaggy Man.
Okay. All right.
I don't know this character, Shaggy Man.
First time I'm hearing about him.
Okay, apparently he's familiar within like the Justice League. Yeah, since he's an old enemy of the Justice League. Also, this book has the Question, Montoya Question.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like there's like a Bigfoot character, and there's a big old scheme going on. So what are you gonna do?
Shag Squatch.
Shag Squatch. I've said this ever since you've stopped buying the book. It's more of the same. So if you've been enjoying it, then keep going.
I did pick up the issue with Pup Named
Scooby-Doo. So there you go. That was
certain things
for you.
I get into.
But other than that, it's just more of the same. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and this is issue 10 of 12, so it's going to be done in March. So there you go.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. Next book, Urban Legends number 11. And Pete, as you and I know, or as I've said, I haven't picked up and read this one since the Batman Beyond story in number 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like you picked it up.
I did. Anthology book, $8 for about 4 stories. 2 out of the 4 I liked. So, buyer beware. You're going to spend money for, you're probably going to like half the book. I don't know.
Well, that right there,
like
you got your money's worth. Because if there are 2 normal sized stories, that equals 2 comic books, in which comics are $4 a piece. So you spent $8 for 2 comics that you like. So there you go.
Y equals MC Lauer.
Boom.
The 2 stories that I really dug were the story with Batman and Zatanna. I was really into that. The last time I got anything like that was back during Tynan's run, and I thought this was really good. There's some really good moments between Bats and Z and Superman and Batman. I thought there was some really good stuff there, and it seems to be kind of an emotional story, well worth my time. And then actually the story which surprised the hell out of me, and I didn't think I would love as much as I did, was a story, Ace the Bathound. Woo! Absolutely phenomenal. It is, for me, it is. I mean, it's a 6-part story, so this book has got me for 6 issues. This is how good this story is.
Okay,
it's written by Mark Russell and drawn by Carl Mostert. I hope I said your name right, Carl. But Mark Russell and Carl Mostert. I hope I said it right. But it's so good. I mean, we have it like. I first fell in love with Ace the Bathound probably around Batman Beyond,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a big fan of when Ace was wearing the cowl back in like the 50s. But this is an interesting interpretation. Hugo Strange is involved. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But Ace is just a brilliant German Shepherd, tactical vest, follows commands, knows what he's doing. He does get himself caught, which is a little bit of a bummer, but like Batman's got to save somebody. And, I can only imagine if they kill Batman's dog, he's going to go John Wick on everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
it's a rule now.
But it's really phenomenal. You get to see where Ace came from and how Batman and just got him under his wing.
What if they do reverse John Wick and it's the DC Super Pets and somebody kills Batman, so Ace goes and tracks down these sons of bitches and just takes them all out? Ace kicking ass. Okay. So anyways, Jorge,
the story's really the Ace the Bathound story is the best story of the book. So I think for that it's well worth the purchase. And again, it's a 6-parter, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I didn't see that happening at certain spots. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did this, and it's interesting, and I'm dying to hear what other people think. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, and I think this is probably my runner-up for a book for story of the month, the Ace the Bathound story. It's not my winner, but
we'll get there. We'll get there soon.
Well, we don't do runners-up. So
did you see the variant, the Ace?
I did not.
Boy,
that's a good cover. I might track that down. I picked up the main cover with Batman and Z because I'm a
Jorge
big Z
Molina.
fan, so.
You got a Molina crush this month. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, when he's not teaming up with 4 other people,
that's why he had to team up with some others. I've got this
doing all the variants.
I've got this great cover going on. So, all right, great. Batman Urban Legends. It's on my radar now. If nothing else, I got to check out the Ace story.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Okay.
There's not enough Ace stories going around.
Yeah, as long as it's not campy, crazy. I don't know.
For the record, I'm excited for the Super Pets movie.
No,
not like
I am
stoked
too,
like Batman level, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Everything I'm seeing, it looks fun, and that's all I want.
They did a Scooby-Doo Ace story, right?
Yeah,
they did.
That was fun.
I can get into that. I think I picked that one up.
Attaboy. I'm proud of you. Moving on to the next week, Batman the Knight #1.
Wow.
Wow. I know it's got Chip Zdarsky. So I had no doubts that I was going to enjoy it. I had no clue I was going to like it this much.
Yeah. When you try to do like a Batman origin story, instantly like fanboys are like, year 1, loser. I'm not reading this crap.
I don't need to see the Waynes murdered again.
Yeah. Oh, God. Did they have to kill the Waynes again?
I'll just watch Batman Begins again.
Oh, my God. Batman's a rehash of Batman. I don't need to watch Batman Begins 2.0, guys. This is crazy. Yeah. What's the plan, Warner Brothers?
So Batman the Knight.
This was magical. I mean, again, lots of Alfred, lots of Bruce Wayne. And this seems to be like, maybe this will be a trend going forward. Batman will kick this off, but like more focused on Bruce Wayne mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I was, from him even kind of bullying a kid to Bruce wanted to become a cop. And it's like, well, you can't be a cop. You're the richest man in Gotham. No one wants, very interesting stuff. Then Bruce, he's basically, fight clubbing, trying to get experience.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this like agenda. He's got an attitude. He's like, I'm not here to tell people what I've learned. I just need to learn. He's like, I'm not going to finals. It's a fascinating take. And the Alfred Bruce stuff is really just incredible from being a young kid, and Hugo Strange again involved in this story. So this is really going to dig deep into the mind and psyche of Bruce Wayne.
Am I getting
I'm
the
interested
name
to see
right? Is it Darla? Is that the love interest? This girl that
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So a newly created character. We'll see how, if she stays throughout the whole book, if this becomes another one to put on that mantle with Vicky and Silver and Jezebel Jet.
My favorite.
Julie Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ellie
we'll see. Because
McPherson.
it's an interesting start with her. But yeah, I thought this issue was just freaking awesome. No bats. No Batman.
I'm interested to see what this night is, though, because there is a night involved in the story. I don't know where it's going, and they seem to really be focused on Bruce Wayne's hands. So I don't know if that's like a little subtle, like, "Hey, look, this is what I want you kind of focus on," or what. But I was really impressed. I really was.
Didn't even mention he's talking all of this out with Hugo Strange,
and
what a nice capper at the end of that, which I won't say anything. But a nice capper with him for this issue too. So, and it made total sense that it wasn't trying to be cute and clever of, hey, here's my best friend Harvey Dent, and oh, me and Edward Nigma. Edward, we clashed when we were kids. It wasn't doing any of that, but it did work in a familiar villain, and it felt organic. So yeah, I really like that. And then the art, shame on me. I never heard of Carmine Di Giandomenico. Great art.
Yeah,
it had a Kubert feel to it, did it not? Or did you not think that?
Maybe not as stylized as Kubert, but I did enjoy
very comfortable. Felt very comfortable.
Everything about this book just flowed. Like it just flowed, and I didn't feel like this is even an oversized book, right? It felt a little bit bigger. It felt thicker, and it didn't seem like it was a longer book. I was like, every page was just magnificent. With every turn of the page, I just felt more and more invested into the story, and I wanted more. And I was like, man, if this was weekly, I'd be happy.
12 issues. 12 weeks, 12 issues.
That's a lot for me to read and review. I can't imagine what it's like for Tamaki to write it, but
yeah. Batman, the Night, #1. Great start. We've got 9 more months of this, Pete, so booyah. Also that week was Batman vs. Bigby #5. I told you, I think, so it's going to wrap up next month, so I think I'm going to grab all of my 5 issues and read them all, and then read issue 6, and I'll have a good summary next month for you on if it's something you should track down yourself or not. And that does it for the 3rd week. Carry on.
For me, the whole Batman Bigby thing was just like, I don't know what this Bigby stuff is. So instantly that's a turnoff for me, because I'm like, I already don't know half of what's going on. So I feel like if you're a fan of both worlds, this is meant for you. But I'm not digging it personally. Not because I think the story's bad, but just because I don't know who this Bigby guy is.
I don't either. And I think that's why I needed to wait. I was trying to do it monthly, and there's just half of it I'm not familiar with, and half of it I am, but I just gotta sit and read it all at once and then see if it totally works for me or not.
You're starting to sound like a guy who reads trades, and that kind of bothers me.
We do this episode every month, Pete. So you shut your mouth when you're talking.
You sound like a guy who reads trades.
Moving on. There's nothing wrong with reading trades. You got a problem against trades? Wow. I thought I knew.
The trades are fine, but not as my primary source of reading material.
So the final Tuesday.
I'm an elitist.
January 25th came a book that I've actually been waiting on because I was really curious what they were doing with it. Batman Catwoman Special #1.
Yes.
This was illustrated. It was being worked on by the late John Paul Leon, and I think the book ended up becoming sort of a dedication to him.
Yes, it did.
It became with his illustrated work, and I know Mitch Gerads. I think he assisted in. I think he assisted in completion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had some write ups to people that knew him, as well as one of his Batman Black and White stories, and then there was some art honoring him, which Lee Bermejo did a pretty amazing.
Klaus Janson was a part of that as well.
Klaus Janson, the I think
Clayman.
yes, I was gonna say Clayman. I'm pretty sure
Joel Jones.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good pieces of work in here.
Because I didn't know that he passed until like actually sitting down and reading the book. I was like, oh wow, heavy hearts.
I've read, and I knew that there was the Batman Creature of the Night book. I'd read 3 of the 4 issues, but I think there was a really big gap in release between 3 and 4 to where I'd forgotten about it. And then 4 came out, and I was like, well, I need to read 1, 2, and 3 again. And I just hadn't gotten around to it. So now I need to just get the book and read that whole thing. Because I know he illustrated that. And I really liked what they were doing with that book. And Kurt Busiek, he did the last writing in this issue. And he talked about working on that book too. But yeah, overall, what are your takeaways of the special itself?
I really think this is Tom King's finest work.
Okay.
It comes full circle. The first page mimics the last page mimics the first page. Selina, she's essentially born in that alley. She dies in the alley.
Yeah.
You know, the cat discovers her. The cat saves her. The cat also brings her to her death. It was pretty heavy. Seeing her journey from a child to teenage years to adulthood with Bruce, becoming, you know, Batcat, having a child. It's so detailed and so just beautiful. It really like this probably would have been my runner up if it wasn't for Ace. I really enjoyed that Ace story. This is a really close second. The only thing I didn't like about the book was I wish I got to see more of Helena in her Robin suit. That was it. So like it's not a real gripe. I love the fact that they call her name is Helena Alfreda Wayne.
Yes, Alfredo.
Alfreda. I was like, okay, all right, I dig it. Just and you know, it's a lot of parallels. Like I said, first page, last page. The picture of the Waynes, you know, that Selina sees in her orphanage, and then she can't stop staring at it. You know, this will be something that I add to my Noel reading. Like this is a Christmas story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, we get a little Oswald in there. There's some obviously great Batcat moments, just them talking things out and talking to each other and having them raise their kid. It's beautiful. I really, you know, I love this special. I've been a little down on Batcat lately. I think it's kind of faded for me.
Yeah.
But this really picked up in a big way, and I'm really happy with this story. I'm very, very, very happy with this, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really liked it. I'm interested on this when Batcat gets collected, how it's going to read, because King he's jumping in 3 different timelines basically, without telling you which is like. And now this is the future, and then you go, this is the past, and you go. It's like you just turn the page, and it's another setting. But yeah, I'm with you on the past like 3 months, which I know Liam Sharp's been illustrating the past 3 issues, and I didn't like that little arc, in the book. Didn't really care for it. I'm really glad that this came out and it put my optimism back in this book, because in 2 weeks, I think the next chapter comes out. 2 or 3 weeks, the next chapter comes out, and I really hope that it's just boom, boom, boom to wrap this up. Like we're cruising to the finish line for Batcat, and this book really helped get that moving. I was a big fan of it. All the dedications and stuff aside, I think just the Batcat part by itself, I thought it was pretty good. So
I also think the Selena Joker interactions are pretty good. I think this is. I think I really do think this is King's best version of this story.
it's kind of fun in how they are both. I've really enjoyed King's. I mean, way back in, was it Batman 49? The 48 and 49 of Catwoman and Joker in the church, going back and forth. I really have loved that dynamic. And then in the Batcat book, the two going back and forth of how they're kind of frenemies. You know, I think that's a strength of the book that King's done. And I think, capitalizes on it here. And it's another really good exchange between the two.
I think he writes Catwoman better than he writes Batman. You know, I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't mind seeing him take over the Catwoman book at some point, because I think that's really good. That's, you know, even when it's like, even the date issue at like the fair or whatever, you know, like the Selena stuff's always
I love those.
Yeah.
It was 2 issues with Superman and Lois. And I really like those 2 issues too.
Yeah. So
if you could get on Catwoman and Joelle Jones comes back and illustrates that, I'd be like Rules of Engagement arc part 2. God, I loved that.
Sure.
Arc.
You know,
that's so good.
Sign me up. You know, I just, and I'm with you. I'm interested to see how this gets collected. I'd be interested in buying the omnibus of this Batcat stuff if it ever got made. I think you could do that between his main Batman run, Catwoman, and this. Like, I think that could be a nice little book. Definitely for $1.50.
Woo, doggy. Pete, that does it for the Batman issues of the month. We've got a couple honorable mentions on my part. Just 3. One is The Joker Presents A Puzzle Box, number 6, written by Matthew Rosenberg. Penultimate issue. This wraps up. First Tuesday in February, it wraps up. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see how it pays off, because there's been some twists and turns that he's done.
So many twists and turns.
It's I don't have enough time to go back and read all the issues right before it wraps up. But this has been a really fun Rogues Gallery tale.
Yeah.
For the past few months. So hats off to him that Rosenberg has crafted a really fun story it's really, really smart too.
I will say that unlike Batman 119, the change in art style, depending on whose point of view you're listening to, for me, it was a bit jarring and kind of took me out.
Yeah. Not
saying that any specific art was bad, but they're so different.
It's not seamless.
Yeah. And that was a little funky for me. So
I hear you.
Is that do you have anything else in honorable mentions?
I do.
Okay.
Nightwing 88 continues to be this kicks off the next arc for Nightwing with Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Last month, as we both said, was the all-in-one shot. It was just a display of Redondo's art, which was fantastic. This month is back to, we're kicking off a new arc and a new story, and it's bringing back the first villain in that first arc that was Taken Hearts, bringing him in, bringing Blockbuster in, and it also brings in the Titans.
That was fun. It was a nice little exchange when Wally saved Dick, and he's like, how do you want to do this? Do you want to hold your baby style, or do you want to ride my back? And
cradle or piggyback?
There you go. That's it. I'm glad you remembered. I thought that was fun. And Dick has a new suit courtesy of the world's smartest man in DC, Mr. Terrific.
Yep.
I would love to see Mr. Terrific and Mr. Fantastic on Jeopardy, by the way. I think that'd be just the two most brilliant men on both sides. But Tom Taylor, what does this guy not write well? The answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Even something, while something may not be my cup of tea, like his Medieval Times book, I'm sure everyone loves it.
He's good. My chair, the back of my chair came undone. So rather than just waiting for it to fall off and me fall back, I'm fixing it.
And I'm like, is he doing curls? What is going on right now? He's so distracted.
Pete's watching me, get some pumps in.
I've been watching so much Liver King. I'm watching Lauer King over here.
Yeah, it's all good. But anyways,
did you eat any raw meat lately? What's going on?
Not yet, no. No, just Little Caesars. Going the opposite direction.
That might as well be raw dough.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was really hoping that I would continue to stay on Nightwing, and there's no signs of it slowing down. I'm really excited to just keep
No, not at all.
adding this, exploring, stepping outside of Gotham for a book, and this one is good. And I mean, I guess I'm stepping outside of Gotham for this last honorable mention, Task Force Z, written by
That's a
Matthew
Red Hood book.
Rosenberg. And since you haven't gotten to it yet, I'm not going to say anything other than I think I commented on one of his tweets, and he replied and said thank you with an exclamation point. So obviously we're best friends now. And I just kind of told him how it's consistently surprising and pleasing with every like little twist that it's taking. I did not expect to like this book as much as I do. I borderline love it. Like it's not bonkers. It's such a wild premise, but
I think it's totally bonkers.
He's finding a way. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, he's finding a way to keep this story. This is so we're a third of the way through now, and this thing it doesn't feel like it kind of dropped off or it's getting slow or what are they doing with this? It's just beginning to end. I read it and I'm fully entertained, and of course the art is chef's kiss. It is.
I will say I haven't read issue 4, but I don't think it's Rosenberg's best work. I think it's his most entertaining work.
Okay.
The whole premise, the idea behind the story is fascinating and interesting. The whole zombie thing and how they keep these guys alive, even though we thought they were dead. And the fact that he brought back Bloom, which was probably the only redeeming quality of Bunny Batman with Jim Gordon. It's so bonkers, like I said earlier, that not his best, but his most entertaining by far. So, take that for what you will. But, I can't wait to read. I have to get to the shop. It's the one book I didn't read Kowalski style. So I apologize. I dropped the ball.
Yeah, the book it's awesome. So that wraps up my honorable mentions. What do you got?
For me, issue 3 of Robbins really picks up. Lots of villains, make cameos, even though they're not really who they are. Some really interesting stuff done with Tim Drake, Ryan Haas, Rob Myers. I would love to hear what your take is on that. It kind of left my jaw on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The ending, the final page was absolutely magnificent. I was like, holy cow. I was like, Tim Seeley, you done it again, sir. And you got me. And so Robbins 3 really picks up the pace, and I really enjoyed it. Batgirls 2 is I like this story. It kind of takes place in a little bit of a magistrate hangover. They're still dealing with that, and I'm digging the relationship between Babs, Cass, and Steph. I'm so happy Steph's back in the fold. Her and Huntress were like that 90s, no man's land Batman stuff just really resonates with me. So when I get my girls back in purple, I am so pumped for that. And having the 3 of them back as Batgirls is really awesome to me. Stephanie will always be spoiler, but I will put that aside. And I'm really digging this one. Also, Future State Gotham, number 9.
That's your book.
It is so. I love the black and white style. I love that. There's so much good Jason Todd stuff right now. I don't know what's going on in DC, because I used to hate Jason Todd. I was always like, his death is more powerful than his life. But ever since I feel like 3 Jokers, he has taken such an amazing turn for the better. This new Joker is fascinating to me. I don't know anything about him, but he's scary. I think this is the best the next Batman has ever been. I'm so invested in this. I really encourage everyone to read this. I liked Future State, I get it was a mixed bag, and I know my man Carlos agrees there was a lot more good than there was bad in it. But Future State Gotham really it's just, again, so entertaining. Out of this world. They can take their liberties because of the alternate timelines and stuff. And this new Joker is very interesting. He's nothing like the Joker, nothing at all. He almost I almost want to compare him to Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. So interesting, totally out of the box thinking. If you like Punchline, if you like Future State, I think this is the book for you.
Booyah.
Booyah.
What else you got? That it?
That's it. That's all I got, Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley. All right, Pete. Well, with that all said, let me ask you, what's your Bat book of the month?
It's Robin and Batman #3, easily.
Okay.
Easily.
Cool. I think mine, surprisingly, The Night #1.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Loved it
Was
for
good.
reasons we already said. Can't go wrong with either of those choices. So that's going to take us to
November. Less is more.
November was a pretty good month. That had Imposter and Robin and Batman, and then a whole lot of other books that to me didn't really
I don't even
add up
remember,
all too
dude.
much. That was the ending of
don't
Fear
even
State, I
remember.
think. That's why. So, anyways,
Yeah.
let's do real quick before we head out the Bat poll. Okay, the last Batman poll,
Mhm.
Pete, was in reference to the subject of the last episode where Tim Sheridan was on and we talked Batman Year 3 and A Lonely Place of Dying, and I came up with the question: which story is more crucial to Robin's history? You can answer the Batman poll on the Twitter account at the Batman BC, and a lot of you did so, with 63% of you answering A Lonely Place of Dying. Pete, what did you answer between those two?
I went
Year
with
3 or A Lonely Place
Year
of Dying?
3. I went with
Year
Year
3?
3. Yeah.
Man, I did too, but it was tough because I love both of them. I think A Lonely Place of Dying definitely.
I just feel like you need
helps,
one to get
but,
to the other.
Yeah.
But
Year 3 barely microscopic.
They're both great. You
Ahead
can't
of the
go
other.
over the other.
Exactly.
I can't call you crazy for picking one over the other.
Amen. So that's going to bring us to this one, which we basically just already said and we already answered. Which Batman book in January was your favorite? Now, here's where the options, and I'm going to need your help here, Pete. Batman 119, Robin and Batman #3, Batman the Night #1. See now, and I think I'm going to go Batman Catwoman Special. Because Detective Comics, I don't know how you can just pick one issue of the 4 as an option. And I think it would be a little bit more, call me crazy, but I think it'd make it more interesting to have the Batcat Special, which has been well received as the 4th option instead of one of the detectives.
Am I picking my top 4? Is that what you're telling me to do?
No, do you think that that's the right move?
Oh.
I'm asking your input live. Don't screw it up.
I think you got to put that Ace the Bathound story in there. I know it's not a whole book, but I think I do.
I can't just say Ace Bathound, part of Urban Legends. There's also a character limit on these polls.
I think it's that good.
Right.
I think
well,
it's that well written.
I'm just going to come up with the polls myself from here on out. I tried to get you involved in this, Pete. And
it's your show, not mine.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the help. So, yeah, just go to Twitter at the Batman BC. The latest
I'm not going to have
poll.
Eric ask you advice for hot sauce polls. It's that simple.
That's good because I don't have any either. So
you don't like hot sauce?
I don't like hot sauce.
What is wrong with you?
I'm not a fan of hot sauce. I guess that's it. I'm weak.
Oh jeez.
Wow. If this is the end of the wrap up monthlies,
it's the end of our friendship.
This has been a roller coaster. This hour has. So we better end it before we aren't friends anymore. So yeah, go to
some low points.
Go to the Batman Book Club Twitter. Answer the Batman poll. If it's not there when you hear this, hang in there. It's coming up momentarily. So Pete, that's going to wrap it up for the wrap up episode. So despite our trading fisticuffs, thanks for coming back. I hope you come back for February. And when we do this in February,
I mean, as long as I'm invited, unless you find somebody else, you may be hanging out when I read Batman comics. That guy's great. He probably reads as much as I do.
Do you know that when we do our next wrap up episode, we will be less than a week from the Batman, or less than a week from hanging out with each other in person.
And I'll still have 15 issues of Detective to review.
That's true. Yeah. You're going to spend the whole time just with a laptop writing your reviews on Detective Comics.
I hope to God I have them earlier. This way I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll handwrite it and just give it to Bill. He can type it himself.
Type it up. There you go. So, Pete, if people are not following you for some reason, where can they do so? Plug away.
You can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite platform, Verra, at Pete Illustrated. You can follow podcast number 1. That is the podcast I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Colson, and that is Straight Outta Gotham, at straight_O_G on both Instagram and Twitter. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. Please consider liking both and following. Lots of great discussion going on there. It's basically a fanboy news feed, so check those things out. Please follow at Team Yellow Oval on Twitter. That is a wonderful little page where we celebrate all the things Yellow Oval, from Keaton to Batman 119. It's a great, just a great experience. And Val Kilmer, he's also got the Oval as well. So everything there, Mr. West included. Don't forget to follow podcast number 2. That is a podcast that I co-host with Sausage and Meatball from Chicago. That's Nick and Nico Caruso. That is the Italian Spider-Man Coalition podcast at Italians for Spidey. It's a fun little Spider-Man podcast we do maybe once a month when I'm not lazy. And I can get hold of them. Really good stuff. We just talk about Spider-Man, from everything from Raimi to the MCU to Fox Animated, all that stuff, and the comics and everything in between. So make sure you check that stuff out. Check out Batman on Film proper for my reviews of Detective Comics, my reviews on Little Caesar's pizza calzone thing. Check out Batman on Film YouTube if you want to watch me eat pizza. That is up there as well as my interview with Mr. Uslan and Tara Strong. So there's lots of good stuff. I'm a bit of a jokester, so I don't take anything really that too seriously. So if my tone is a little questionable, it's because it's a joke. So don't worry about it. But I like to have fun, and every once in a while, I probably poke the bear.
Yeah, you do. That's the way. That is the way.
Antagonist in me.
But
I think that's everything.
I think that literally is everything that you can get on to follow someone. Is right there what Pete just plugged. As I've already said a couple times, you can follow the Batman Book Club on Twitter and Instagram at the Batman BC. That's where the Batman polls are, upcoming episodes, latest episode drops, and sometimes some other cool, fun announcements that are happening this year. So check that out. If you want to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can do it through TeePublic Store, where you can buy some cool stuff with the Batman Book Club on it. There are new options available now, and TeePublic loves to do sales sporadically, so check that out. tpublic.com and search TBBC, and you'll see the options there. If you want to support the show through Patreon, you can do that, patreon.com/thebatmanbc. But if you want to support the show and you don't want to spend any money at all, you can do that through Apple Podcasts. You can rate and review the show. It helps spread the word. And Pete, as we all know, the word is panic.
Uxus.
Okay. Uxus panic. Panic. Uxus. All right,
Uxus.
so Peter. So for Peter R. Verra, I am Ryan Lauer, and until next time, read my Batman comics.
Welcome to the Batman Book Club.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Oh man, already. Unintentional. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
I got it.
We sound like Ace Ventura in the fish tank. Yeah.
And then it go.
This should be the pre-roll.
And everybody's like, what the hell is going on? And then just when I got to 900 followers, now I'm down to like 14.
Unfollow.